So at some point or another, I'd mentioned I'd work on a part 2 for the 9-year-old DM story. But a lot has been going on since then, and with the painful amounts of burnout that comes from making animated content, I took a break to work on other projects. Well, since then, my 10-year-old sis, who had a birthday a few months back, had been pretty happy that I animated her one-shots, so with a newfound determination, she hosted a bunch more after hearing I'd make a part 2. It was a dark and spooky night near a crowded carnival. We were a group of friends who had all been adventurers before in the past. Our party consisted of a cleric princess. No, not a literal princess, that was just her name. Really? You're bringing the same character from the first one-shot.
No, she's completely different. This time, she has a pet unicorn.
Is this legal? Our little DM had a better sense for game balancing this time around, which I'm grateful for. So we played out that the unicorn was just a horse with a plastic cone on its head, and Princess the Cleric was just delusional. The other characters included a female half-orc with the most obnoxious character voice you could think of. If you know about Puffin's absurd character, she was definitely similar, except
I always wanted to go to the carnival!
And with the last two characters being my underaged warlock girl with 3 pages of backstory, and a random rogue named Sheen with no pages of backstory. Now, I'm a big fan of character creation, and even though I knew my backstory was completely worthless in the hands of a DM that doesn't even use the PHB, I tried to show her that the one-shot wasn't a waste of my time. Now, our quest started by finding a trail of large, long footprints near the carnival, and following those tracks into the woods. While traveling, Sheen wanted to do a backflip.
Alright, roll a d6.
Okay, weird dice choice for a skill check, but whatever.
And if you roll a 3 or lower, you die.
Thankfully, 4 was not instant death, and our rogue was free to live another day. After how professionally she started the one-shot, I think we all forgot how tyrannical of a DM she could be. For the rest of the session, we were all on our toes not to trigger any more instant death encounters, and that was also the last time Sheen tried to do a backflip. Some time passed as we noticed a large red hairball in the middle of the footprint trail. I figured it could either be a giant cat, or another giant yeti, but progressing more, it looked like we had reached the creature's den. For good measure, we threw a torch into the cave and oh gosh, what the heck is that? Some deranged clown had been in the cave abducting people, and I don't know, eating them? In the end, we pulled some Scooby-Doo style tricks on the clown by wrapping him up in chains, dousing him in oil, and lighting Ronald McDonald on fire. After capturing the clown, we were able to, oh gosh, there's another one! After capturing both of the clowns, we were able to unmask them to see who was really behind this mystery. Thomas Toron from the Spire Academy video I posted 5 months ago. If you're an OG on this channel, then you know Thomas was killed by a shambling mound. Well, for some reason, he was not only alive, but abducting people as a clown into his cave dungeon. Plot holes aside, this campaign was marginally better than her first. Sans and Shrek T-posing was fun and all, but immersion suffered the death sentence because of it. Now, although my little sis had hosted the occasional session or two, I'm usually the one in charge of the longer running campaigns. On one faithful morning though, I had started to go through DM burnout from hosting too many games, and if the future of playing D&D as a family would continue, I needed some time off the DM seat, which means someone would need to step in and host a session. Would anyone else like to host a session? No? Well, I guess you're better than nothing. Sitting down for her next one-shot, our group was a ragtag bunch of forgettable characters, with my old hunchback wizard being the only guy capable of saving the group from instant death. We were up against an adult black dragon, with the main difference being that all of its stats were custom made, because my little sister didn't know how monster stat blocks worked. We all thought for sure we were dead, mostly because the dragon could only attack once per round, but whenever he did, his attack would somehow hit the entire party. I swear, if I didn't make a divination wizard for this game, it would have been an instant TPK. I got pretty low foretelling dice, so whenever the monster would attack, I'd replace his roll with a natural 1. The monster would whiff his shot, and we'd get another round to take him down. Honestly though, I felt that this one shot was meant to be a total party kill, but was completely sure that was the case when she told me,
Why do you keep changing his dice rolls? Do you want this to take longer?
well, yeah, I sorta don't wanna die, sorry for trying to stay alive. Luckily enough, the dragon was also handicapped, and didn't know how to fly or use its breath weapon, so the fight ended up once again being a complete cakewalk. Up until now, all of her games had been pretty interesting. Definitely not balanced, but engaging enough for us to stay invested in whatever story she was trying to tell. Now, I did say up until now, because her next one-shot threw all of that experience away. Once again, I was completely surprised, because I once again gave her too much credit. We were in a desert kingdom as a group of servants, ready to aid our sultan in whatever childish, serious task he needed us to complete. I don't really remember any of the characters we made for this session, but knowing me, I was probably an anime character. Female character. Turns out the Sultan had lost his 6-ton elephant and wanted us to go find it. The last place anyone saw the beast was in the courtyard, so it's beyond anyone's guess how it could have gone missing. After close inspection, we found that the elephant had escaped by building a staircase out of ice. Yes, you heard me, ice. Out of everything else it could have used, it used ice. In the desert. Yeah. And after scaling the wall, the beast somehow managed to leave 2 separate trails of footprints in the sand. Things started to heat up after reaching the end of the first path. Making our way towards an oasis, the group found a giant talking alligator in the water. Knowing that we hadn't had much conflict so far, I immediately expected the alligator to be the antagonist, and we proceeded to beat him up until he spilled the beans. Turns out the alligator didn't have any information. So we retraced our steps to the second trail. To our surprise, it led straight back to the courtyard. And who would have thought? The elephant had returned, or rather, never left to begin with? Who knows? Knowing that some of her one-shots had morals behind them, I feel the story she was trying to tell was, don't stress over the things you have lost, as so long as you remember them, they had never truly left. Yeah. That was before she told me the one-shot was based off of a children's picture book. And that would be the last one-shot we'd play with her for a while. That is, until she got inspired by another random brain fart, and we were all dragged back to the living room table to test out her latest torture chamber, D&D session. Everything was strangely well thought out. The story revolved around an archpriest that had the power to create life from absolutely nothing, and the people of the city revered him as a god. We were soldiers sent to investigate the priest and get to the bottom of where all his power was coming from, and... Wait a second, this is the plot to Fullmetal Alchemist!
So, you found out my secret. But let's see just how far that notion will take you.
And then we spent the next 3 hours playing Fullmetal Alchemist in D&D. Up until this one shot, my sisters became obsessed with Fullmetal Alchemist. And if an infant's picture book was enough to spark an entire game, this was bound to happen eventually. So with her final campaign of 2019 complete, we had a chance to look back at the year and marvel at all of her wonderful creations. The forest of ungodly memes, the immortal Yeti, the McDonald's horror film, the TPK dragon, the 300 IQ elephant, and Fullmetal Alchemist, the Netflix adaptation. Regardless on how bad the sessions may have been, I'm glad I was able to take part in them, because I know a lot of DMs who stress over making perfect, well-written campaigns with boundless things to discover, fight, and collect. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but at least with her sessions, my character's stats could take a back seat, and I could remember why I was at the table in the first place. To have fun. Wait a second. I told myself there weren't any morals to learn from any of this, which means, dang it, they really were bad. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and just to let you know that we're halfway to 100,000 subscribers. It's gonna be a huge milestone, so to celebrate, I'm going to be doing a face reveal. It's about time the world knows what I really look like. If you guys want that to happen faster, definitely do your part down below, and I'll see you all in the next video.